Now in the West, the most famous Latin father is Augustine, and he's given a lot of space and has had a lot of influence. But my understanding is that the Orthodox Church, or at least some would not venerate him as a father, or at least elevate him to the point where he has been. What's your take on Augustine?
Well, actually the popes didn't accept him either at the beginning, because they realized that there were some serious things wrong in what he taught. It was, if it hadn't been for Prosper of Aquitaine and some of these other enthusiasts, Augustine might not have been considered such a great father in the West either. I know that a lot of Orthodox people, particularly in the epoch when we have a lot of converts in the West, but also under the influence of ecumenism, have begun to accept Augustine, although throughout history, Augustine did not appear in the Orthodox Church calendar. The Russians would refer to him as Blessed Augustine, but never saint. And so there are a lot of misunderstandings about it. Augustine's the whole ethos of what Augustine teaches is pure Neoplatonism. And many of the major heresies in the West, or what we would consider heresies, do come from Augustine. Sometimes Tertullian was a precursor of them, but he was a lawyer also. I just give you a few examples that Augustine, the idea of double predestination, the idea of original sin, that is original guilt, really, the inheritance of, personal inheritance by everyone born of guilt for Adam's sin, the idea of purgatory and limbo, of course, and the filioque really came from Augustine. There are several other problems with his teachings, and no major writer in the ancient church ever diverged so radically from the writings of the Orthodox Fathers as did Augustine. But he was a brilliant writer. He wrote beautifully, and he had a lot of powerful, beautiful things to say. Consequently, he had a huge influence that it's rather tragic that he did, in a way. And I know a lot of people are irritated by that because they consider Augustine, to be even greater than the Cappadocians or something. But when the great pillar of orthodoxy, Mark of Ephesus, was passing from this life, the first person to become patriarch after the conquest by the Ottomans was Gregory. Actually it was George, but became Gregor Scholasticus. He went to see Mark of Ephesus, and Mark of Ephesus warned him against Augustine and the writings of Augustine. Before that, Gregory had been a little bit influenced by Augustine. But Mark, in his debates with the cardinals at the Council of Florence somewhat earlier, had realized that Augustine was the problem. And in the schism ultimately was largely because of the teachings of Augustine. So and people should explore that rather than just responding with their emotions, but actually explored in some depth.